Hey, welcome back to the Ordinary Guy DIY. Today we're going to talk about pellet smoker and how you shouldn't neglect the maintenance on it. There's some things you need to take care of so that you don't have your smoker quit right in the middle of your cook. I happen to have a Pit Boss brand. There's lots of good brands out there, Traeger and many others, but one of the things that I came across, I'm gonna pull the grates, pull the heat shield, and going to show you what you need to take care of if you have a pellet grill. If you've had one for any length of time, you probably already know this, but for those who don't, there's fines that get left behind that build up. It's just a natural way of things. You know, the pellet does not, burn up completely. There's still some ash. It's no different than a fireplace. You know, you put good wood in and you get good fire, but there's still ashes. There's still parts that won't burn. And if you don't clean those up, essentially what happens is inside the fire pot, that dust will collect and it will smother the fire. Even though it may start, once the fines completely cover that where your burner is, that heating element, it can choke out your fire. And if you have a long cook, an 8 or 10 or 12 hour cook, you leave it for hours at a time, and if you come back to it checking on it and it's out, that's time lost. I like to do this every 5 or 6 cooks. I take the grates out, the heat shield out, and I go ahead and vacuum the fire pot. And especially if I'm going to be doing a long cook, even if it's only been a few cooks, if it's anything more than a 3 or 4 hour cook, I'm going to go ahead and vacuum it and just make sure there's nothing more aggravating than coming out to check on it and the grill's completely cold. Now, if you have a Bluetooth pellet grill, then you can monitor that a lot closer. I don't particularly have one of those, so I just have to check on it manually. That's the amount of buildup. You see all the fines in here, what's outside of the pot is really not what's critical, but if you look right there, that's actually that's where your heating element is, and it's electric. It heats up until it ignites the pellets, and there's a fan that blows, and the auger brings the pellets through a tube and it drops them in there. Well, you can see all the fines built up in there, and once they cover that igniter, that's when you run into problems. That's when your fire is going to go out. And then the smoker, at least this one, it'll just keep feeding pellets even though it went out, and you'll have a big old pile of pellets out here. And obviously, once you lose your heat, then you're going to lose your cooking ability. It's probably been 5 or 6 cooks now, but you can see it's in need of cleaning. And in this case, I'm just using a little battery operated shop vac, if you will. You can use whatever brand you see fit. I probably wouldn't advise using a household vacuum because these fines would possibly plug up your HEPA filter and all that stuff. So I would use something similar to what I got going on there. So as you can see the heating element a whole lot better. The pot's completely vacuumed out, so I should be good to go. Typically what I do, you can see how I just have aluminum foil over my heat shield, and usually when I do this is when I replace the aluminum foil on my heat shield. And we'll do that, put the grates back in, and this thing will be ready to go. actually has a searing plate, you know, so if you want to sear a steak or whatever, you can slide it open and it'll give you open flame to your steak or burgers or whatever you have on here. But I choose not to use that feature, but it is on most Pit Boss heat shields if you so choose. This thing's ready to roll. One other kind of tip I'll mention. So if you don't have a cover for your pellet grill, most people do, but if you don't, get one. Get yourself one, because it's very important. You got to keep the moisture out of this hopper. If you get any moisture in there, then pellets can harden, and then you're going to be having to break it up out of there. So I happen to have a Pit Boss cover, but you could use any universal cover that's, you know, Amazon or anywhere else. And then this is actually my container for the pellets. This will actually hold a 40-pound bag. If it's empty, it came from Sam's. It's not, I don't know, 15 or 20 bucks for that container. And when you're filling your hopper, don't try to get every little ounce out of your bag, because there will be fines in the bottom of that bag. And when you're filling it, just when you get to the end, just don't pour those fines into your hopper, because those fines could make their way into the auger eventually. And, you know, if they get any moisture, or if there's enough fines built up, it could actually clog up your auger, and then you have to take it apart to get it cleaned out. I did have that happen once early on when I didn't really know any better. But so that's just a couple of tips. Don't get fines in your pellet hopper, and keep the moisture out. And then make sure you're cleaning out, vacuuming out your fire pot, you know, every fifth or sixth cook, and especially before a long cook. Just save yourself some trouble and headache. Hey, with that concludes this topic on pellet smoker. If this was helpful and informative, consider liking and subscribing, and we'll keep making content as it comes up. Appreciate you watching. Hey, have a great day.